What's going on, everyone? Thanks for checking out this video. Today I'm going to show you an electric bike that is actually of manageable size and weight, the Lectric XP Lite. Normally I cover a lot of fat tire electric bikes on this channel, and they tend to be just huge and heavy bikes. Those are two words I definitely would not use to describe this one, so let's check it out. All right, we're checking out the Lectric XP Lite. This is the Lite version. They started with their original XP, and then they went to version 2.0, then 3.0. Now they're even making a trike, and they've been a popular and growing brand over the last couple years, and I think that's probably because they give you a good product for the money. This bike right here comes in at $799, so it's a good entry point into the electric bike space if you want to try it out. This one comes in multiple color options. You can get blue, black, white, and this one they call Sandstorm. It's like a light tan color. All right, now let me give you a quick 60-second breakdown of all the specs so you know what we're working with. We've got 20-inch wheels. The tire size is actually 20 by 2.6. It's a folding frame design. It weighs less than 50 pounds, and the carrying capacity is about 275 pounds. It's got pedal assist and also a twist throttle. The battery pack is hiding inside the frame, and it's a 48-volt, 7.8 amp-hour battery pack. Inside the back wheel is your hub motor. It's a 300-watt nominal and a 720-watt peak. You've got mechanical disc brakes. It's a single speed bike. The minimum seat height is 27.5 inches from ground to top of seat. You got a large and readable display. Also comes with headlight and tail light. And top speed on this bike is about 20 miles an hour. All right, now that you know the basics, let's get into a little bit more detail. And the first thing I got to start with is the weight. I mean, this thing is crazy light. They say 46 pounds on the website. I weighed it in at 48 pounds on my scale, but regardless, it's under 50 pounds. For an e-bike, that's really, really light. A lot of the fat tire bikes I cover are between, I'd say, 75 and 90 pounds. So to have a bike weighing in, 45 to 50 pounds is crazy. I can pick this thing up over my head with ease. Even my wife has no problem lifting this bike up in the air. One of the lightest bikes I've ever been on, and it's refreshing to actually get an electric bicycle that is manageable size and weight for folks. Even the seat heights and the handlebar heights, everything is accessible for this bike. They list on the website 4'8" to 6'2" as the ride height on this, and I agree with that. I'm certain somebody 4'8" could get on and ride this bike easily. I'm 6 feet tall. I can ride it with ease. I think someone 2 inches taller than me could absolutely ride this bike. The seat goes crazy high on it. If I put the seat and the handlebars all the way down, of course I look and feel like a giant riding this bike. But if I put them all the way up, it's so tall that I can't even get my feet on the ground. So it goes extremely high. Of course, I was able to find a nice comfortable spot in the middle. And my wife too, she was able to get on and flat foot this bike, no problem, which is not something she can do on most of the other bikes I have. She really struggles to get her feet down. And then she was comfortable getting on and riding around the neighborhood. It's easy for her to handle. The seat goes low enough, handlebars are low enough and reachable, that it was a comfortable ride position for both of us. That's not something you can usually say about an e-bike, that someone that's 5'3" and someone that's 6 feet tall or higher can ride the bike, both ride the same bike comfortably. All right, now let's get into a little bit more detail. So for your wheel and tire package, 20-inch wheels, the tire size again is 20 by 2.4, so it's more like a regular bicycle tire. It's not a fat tire bike, and that helps keep the weight down. It does not have a front suspension fork. That helps keep the weight down. It's only a single gear, no derailleur, no gears. That helps keep the weight down. This is all about being minimal and cutting weight everywhere you can, and it worked because this is one of the lightest bikes I've been on. But I had no problem with the tires. Plenty of grip on there. It said inflate them to like 35 psi. I think I put them at maybe 25 when I rode, just to give them a little bit softer ride quality. And I also want to point out that there's already slime, the green slime, inside these tires. That comes pre-installed in there. When I was filling them with air, when I released the valve stem, some of the slime came shooting out. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they got the slime in there. So it's already in there for you. You don't have to put that in. You come around over to this side, you can see we've got disc brakes. They're Tektro 160 millimeter disc on there, and it's a mechanical disc brake. What I can tell you about the braking riding is plenty of power out of the mechanical brakes to stop this bike because it's so lightweight. Hydraulics not needed on this one. These were fine. They did get a little bit squealy after a while. That could have been my fault for not really bedding them in properly. I just pulled it out of the box and rode it. This bike arrives 100% assembled. All I did was pull it out of the box and clip off the zip ties and unfold it, and it was done. From the time I opened the box to the time I was riding this was probably under 10 minutes. Now up here at the front, you do get a headlight that comes with the bike. You just hold the up arrow for a few seconds and it'll turn on. You've got mounting points here for a front basket. They do sell a front basket on the website as well as a rear rack. You got mounting points here for rear rack already, and they sell fenders. I think most folks, when they get an e-bike and they realize how much they love it, then they start tricking it out with all those goodies. So it's good that they have them available for you on the website. You can see all the wires coming down all the way from the handlebar down and even underneath the frame here. All the wiring is exposed, and they did a really good job of wrapping it and making it look nice and neat. At $7.99, I wouldn't expect all the wiring to be integrated inside the handlebars and inside the frame. It's definitely a more budget-friendly bike, and truthfully, I don't mind this because if there is ever any kind of issue with any wiring or component, it's going to be really easy to get to the wiring on this bike. The paint job's really nice on this bike. All the graphics and everything are laid under the paint, so these aren't stickers. It's a gloss paint job. It feels like it's got a really good clear coat on there, so it's not going to scratch really easily. I love the Sandstorm color. When they asked me to take a look at this bike, I said, absolutely, but you got to send the Sandstorm. You don't see bikes in this color very often, so it really caught my eye. Now right here you can see the frame's folding mechanism. Also the handlebars flop down. It folds like every other folding e-bike, and normally I'm not really a fan of folding e-bikes because they tend to be just so heavy that once you fold it, it's still really awkward and heavy to lift, and it's just not manageable. But this one being so lightweight, it's actually probably a folding bike that I would fold and really take with me somewhere. Take on vacation, take camping, wherever. It's light enough that it's actually portable, and the folding makes sense. I've had folding bikes that were over 90 pounds, which to me is just ridiculous. But this one's really easy to fold. Just, put the seat all the way down, put the handlebars all the way down, flop the handlebars over, release the latch in the middle, it sandwiches in half. And for me, it's really easy to pick up and load into the back of my wife's car. Super lightweight, and I think it folds up small enough that I could probably fit 2 of these in the trunk of her car if we really tried. Now, I also made my wife try to lift and load this bike into her car. She has her own folding e-bike. She has a Rad Mini that she can't lift at all. And this bike, you can see in the footage, she struggled on the first lift. Even though it's lightweight, people don't realize how awkward these things are to pick up once they're folded. But she got it on the second try and was able to load this in her car herself, which is the only folding e-bike that we've ever got that she could lift and put in the car. So I consider that a win for Lectric, producing a folding e-bike that can actually be managed by a wide variety of folks. I was really able to lift and load this bike with ease, put it in the back of my truck. It wasn't short enough to go underneath my tonneau cover standing up, but if you laid it down, you could put it underneath the tonneau cover. I was even able to fit this bike into the front seat of my truck. I thought, okay, worst case scenario, I gotta throw this in the front cab with me, and it fit in the passenger seat. So it really is a folding bike of manageable size. I think you could throw this under a desk or even in a closet at home if you were desperate for storage space. But let's keep working our way through this bike a little. Up here on the controls, you got a right hand twist throttle. And what I'll point out here is that you have access to all the power all the time in the throttle. Doesn't matter if you're in pedal assist 1 or pedal assist 5. Whenever you hit this, you have full power out of the bike. Now over on this side, you got your control panel. It's just 3 buttons. You got your power button that turns everything on, and you got up and down for pedal assist. And then there's your display screen. Very large, very readable. Awesome. They use this one on, I think, all the Lectric bikes. Very, very easy to read, very easy to see. And that's about all that's happening up here. Very basic bike. Rubber grips. The handlebars are 25 inches wide, if you were curious. They give you a decent seat on this bike. It's pretty thick, pretty plush. It does have some nylon springs there in the back. For the gearing on the bike, it's a single speed bike. So you got a pretty large chainring in the front, just a single gear on the back. You've got pedal feeling, I'll say, until maybe 15, 16 miles an hour. You can still pedal comfortably. Once you get up into the top end of this thing's range, when you're going 20 miles an hour, you're just pedaling like a maniac. I think most of the time you're going to be riding it, 16 miles an hour or less for this bike, so I didn't have a problem with the gearing at all with the single speed. Underneath here is the key. This is how you turn the bike on. You have to turn the key on first, and it's also how you unlock the battery from inside the frame. You have to turn the key, and there's a little pin right here that will allow the battery to then come out of the bike. The battery's tiny. I took the battery out. I was shocked to see how light and small the battery pack was. If you're thinking you're going to make this bike a lot lighter by taking the battery out, you're not. The battery only weighs 5 pounds. You got the taillight on its own independent bracket right here, and it looks like, the plug's right there. So if you do buy the rear rack and attach here, they'll probably supply you with a little pigtail where you can extend the wire and put your taillight then at the back of the rack, but they got it on this bracket right here just to get it up above the tire so you can see it from behind. And I can probably try to turn it on for you here. Probably just hold the up button, and yep, you can see the light thing came on. Now we got a front headlight, and we've got the rear tail light, and it's just a tail light. Stays illuminated. It is not a brake light. Nothing happens when you pull the brakes. And at the back of the frame here, you can see normally there's a derailleur guard, but this has a motor wire guard that's pretty robust. So you don't have to worry about this thing falling over and damaging your motor wire coming out. And of course, hiding in the back wheel is your 300 watt nominal, 720 watt peak motor, which makes this a class 2 e-bike, because technically it's got almost 750 watts in it. It'll go 20 miles an hour on level ground. And it had surprisingly good performance. It's a zippy little bike. I was pretty impressed with that. I've had other bikes that have had, 300 or 350 watt motors, but they weren't as strong as this. And I think that's probably because they were 36 volt systems. This is a 48 volt. So clearly this bike is not a, speed and hill climbing powerhouse, but it's got a lot more zip than you're probably thinking out of that little motor. All right, so now it's probably a good time to show you some of the ride footage I took when I was out riding and testing this bike, doing range tests and hill climbs and speed tests. So let's take a look. All right, here we go with Lectric Lite. Let's go get some performance data on this bike. Clearly, I know it's not built for performance. It's built for lightweight and portability, but I'm still gonna go do the hill climb and the top speed, and maybe we'll take it on a trail and see how it does with no suspension. And really the big thing I wanna test is the range. Battery pack's kind of small in there. It's only like 7 point something amp hours. So how far is that gonna take you? I'm not sure. We're gonna find out. That's one of the main things I wanna do today is check the range and give you a real world number on range. How far does this bike actually go? Well, let's find out. It's at 0.3 miles so far. And I also got my GPS app running on my phone so I can verify how accurate the screen is. But let's go find a hill. I wanna go do that. We'll go to our normal hill climb test and see if it can make it. I don't even know if it can make it. It's only got a 300 watt motor in it, so we'll see. Now this is what this bike is for. This is what I see you doing with it. Just a nice leisurely ride through the community park. But I'm gonna go beat on this thing a little bit. I'm gonna go torture it just a little, just to kind of max it out and see how she does. So let's, I think there's some trails right up here. Let's go do that. No suspension fork. You could easily put a suspension seat post on this bike though. There's a ton of room there, because the seat goes so low. Yeah, so here's a bunch of bumpy roots. Well, it's not actually that bad. It's bumpy, but you get a little bit of squish out of the tires. Tires are 20 by 2.4, I think. And they're kind of tall sidewall on it, so it is a little soft. I don't have them pumped up the hole either. It said put them to like 35 PSI. I think I have them at like 20. But again, you're not really gonna be doing probably a whole lot of this with it. So yes, it can do light trails. I will say one thing about that little pass through there. It was quiet. There's nothing to rattle on this bike. There's no derailleur because there's no gears. And yeah, nothing was shaking or clanking around. So it is quiet. The battery sounded secure in the frame there. So I haven't opened it up yet. Maybe there's some foam in there that's like protecting it from rattling around, but I didn't hear that at all. That's good. Sometimes they knock around inside the frame, but I haven't heard that on this one. All right, I'm gonna give you a top speed run here. There we go. Pedal assist 5 and just throttle only. How fast will it go? Okay, so it was going good up until about 20.5, 20.6, and then you feel the motor just cut out. So it's programmed to just cut out just over 20. So there's your top speed. All right, coming down the hill climb, we'll test the brakes here. They got plenty of bite. I mean, they're cable brakes, but they work just fine. All right, this is gonna be a really tough test. I kind of feel bad doing this to this bike. This hill's about 10% grade, 12% at the steepest. I don't think it's gonna do it. I'd be shocked if it does. It's got plenty of zip around on the flats, but asking this to pull me up a hill, 185 pounds, using motor only, it's gonna be rough on this. All right, little guy, show me what you got with your 300 watt motor. I think it peaks at like 7 or something like that. That's off to a pretty good start. I'm surprised. This is all bike. I'm not helping this thing. I mean, it's going okay. Once it feels like it's gonna fail, I'll back off. I don't want to hurt it. This is going further than I thought it would. This is the steep spot right here, and it's gonna make it. I'm gonna help it pedal because I feel bad. It probably would have made that. Just a couple light pedals there real quick, and that's the end. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that did that. That's pretty impressive, actually. I've had bikes that really, really struggle on this hill climb. Wow. That's pretty impressive out of this little bike. That little tiny motor, this little tiny bike, it carried me up that hill. Not a crazy steep hill, but it did it all on its own. If you're pedaling, it'll be just fine. So yeah, I mean, it's got a little bit of hill climb power. I don't live in a hilly area. I don't have hills around me at all. So this bike would be fine where I live. If you live in the mountains, I mean, clearly this isn't a monster of a hill climber, but that was pretty impressive. I'm a little impressed. Good job, Lectric Lite, good job. Let's see what the top speed pedaling is. The motor just stops at 20.5 miles an hour, and I can pedal it to 22 and a half, 23 if you pedal. Honestly, I don't see a need to go any faster than 20 miles an hour on this bike. That is plenty fast for this thing. I mean, look at it zip through here. I'm not pedaling at all, I'm just turning the pedals so the cadence sensor works. It's flying through here. All right, let's see how she does. I'll check back in once we get closer to getting this battery wore down. Let's see how accurate our speedo is. Will this pick me up? 20, 19? Yeah, it's right. Right on the money. All right, so here's some steeper hills over here. We're gonna see how the light does. We're at 14 miles an hour. I'm pedaling comfortably, and it's starting to get steeper. I can see there's nothing coming. I'm not gonna stop here and lose my momentum. Oh, it's working. It's working now. I'm pushing hard, but not like crazy hard. I'm still sitting down. I mean, that was pretty effortless. You can't, I mean, I wouldn't be able to do that with a regular bike, that's for sure. All right, we're about 9.5 miles in. I still have plenty of battery left. I'm a little surprised how long it's lasting. We'll see if that holds true and if it's gonna go. I mean, it's still well over half and it's at 9.4 miles. So is this really gonna go like 20 miles? I don't know. We'll see. The seat's pretty comfy. I'm surprised at that. Usually the stock seats on these bikes are horrible, but this one's pretty good. It would benefit greatly from a suspension seat post though. That would be the first upgrade, absolutely. And this thing is shockingly zippy. I mean, I'm going way too fast for this little sidewalk. I'm gonna get out of here. But yeah, just maybe it's the 48 volt system. I know a lot of these bikes like this are 36 volt. I guess maybe that makes a big difference because it's got plenty of power to haul me around. If you were like 120 pounds, this thing would probably feel real quick, but it's plenty of zip to be fun. If I ever gotta travel anywhere, man, this one's the one that's gonna come with me. All right, we're at about 15.3 miles and it's still going. I still have like 3 bars left on the battery. I'm surprised. This bike is surprising me. I'm surprised at how long the battery's lasting. I did not expect that at all. And I have really been trying to put a hurt on it. For the last like 8 miles, I haven't even been pedaling. I've just been throttle only and it's still going. So 20 miles out of this bike will be super, super easy if you're just, you know, riding it casually. I've been trying to burn it down as fast as possible and it's still going. So I'm a little surprised. It's already surpassed what I thought I was gonna do. I'm surprised at how zippy it is, really. I didn't think it would have, it's got pretty decent power, honestly. I'm surprised I'm not more uncomfortable on it. You know, you can adjust the seat high enough. The seat's not bad. The handlebars can be adjusted high. Like at 6 feet tall, I'm comfortable on it. I just wish I had a suspension post. That'd be the first thing I add, but all right, we finally reached the end. It is out of juice at this point. We went 16.9 miles on the bike. 16.9 miles, we'll just call it 17 miles. And it was pretty much full power up until the very, very end. Only just right over there, it just kind of finally just died. It's kind of, some of them will die slowly and gradually and just give you less and less power. This seemed to have full power right up to the point it died. Then it just kind of, boom, okay, I'm done. So I'll show you how much power it's got here. We'll do an acceleration throttle. And it gets itself moving. But that's all the power you got. I'm gonna call that the end because it's pretty much not usable power anymore. So 17 miles out of this bike. I'm impressed because the last, I mean, out of that 17 miles, probably 12 of it was full throttle of just laying on the throttle, full throttle. So, I mean, you could probably get 20, if you're gonna ride it casually, I think you could probably get 25 miles out of this bike pretty easy. And now it's flashing like air at me. I think it's just out of juice. Even though it's showing 1 battery bar, it's just done. Let's check my phone and see if it matches the GPS. All right, so almost perfectly identical. 16.93 on the GPS and 16.9 on the bike. So, I mean, dead on the money. Exactly right. And I rode for 1 hour and 42. So almost 2 hours of fun on this bike at a 1 battery charge. Pretty darn good. And I could have made it last way longer than that. Thankfully, I am only like a half a mile from home. Well, let's get back. All right, well, hopefully that gives you a better idea of what it's like to ride the Lectric XP Lite. And I've told you it's lightweight and that it's maneuverable and it's portable and it's accessible for a bunch of people. And now I'm thinking, okay, well, who's this bike for? Who's gonna have fun on this bike? Who's gonna use this bike? What's the demographic for this? And really, I can think of a ton of people that would have a blast on this bike. I had a blast riding this thing. It kind of reminded me of the BMX bike I had as a kid. I had a Diamondback, right? Same basic size as this, but had BMX bars on it. And I was just kind of riding this around, jitneying around town, skidding the tire out, and had a ball on this thing. So I enjoyed it even as an old man. But I can't imagine giving this to like a 13-year-old kid. They'd have a freaking blast on this bike. I wish I had something like this when I was like 13 or 14 years old. I think someone that's gonna take it like to a campground, ride it around the campground, or take it with you on vacation to ride around the beach town. Kind of endless possibilities for this one. Anyway, those are some of my thoughts. Up to you to decide what e-bike is going to work best for you. There's a lot of things I like about this one. The price is right. It's super lightweight. The power was pretty decent for being a little 300 watt nominal motor. The range was good. They have like a range chart on their website, and I'm pretty sure I fell right in the right range. I guess I had it in pedal assist 5 almost the whole time, and I was a lot of throttle. So it was right on target. That little chart I think is pretty accurate. The bike doesn't have a lot of rattles. It was pretty quiet. It's also, another thing I think about too is when people go out and they buy electric bikes and they're so heavy and they're like, oh man, it won't fit on my bike rack now because it's too heavy. Well, this will fit on your normal bike rack because it's light enough for that. So you may not have to buy a new bike rack. And they also sell a bunch of accessories for it. I like that when they support it with aftermarket goodies because people always want to buy those goodies too. Things I don't like about it, there's a couple things, very minor. The key, I hate the key. Sorry, Lectric. It's really hard to get to. It's underneath here and you can't see the keyhole to put the key in. You're just constantly fumbling around to try to get the key in there so you can, you know, turn the bike on or start to fold it. I don't know. I wish the key hole was easier to get to, and the fact that you have to leave the key in while you're riding. I don't like leaving the key in the bike. I'm always worried I'm gonna like hit it or kick it or something and break it off inside there. So I wish the key was in a different spot. And other than that, there's not really a whole lot that I disliked about it. I mean, there's a couple like little quirky things when you go to grab the frame to load it into the car. I mean, the chains are here. So every time I went to load this, I just grabbed a whole handful of a chain and got grease all over my hands. And the kickstand, let me show you that. The kickstand is pretty thin. So if you're gonna try to set this up in any kind of soft ground or mud, it's just gonna sink right in. But I mean, you can see how much I'm really nitpicking here to find things wrong with this bike. It's pretty good bang for your buck. All right, well, I think that's all I got for you today on the Lectric XP Lite. I will of course provide a link for you below so you can find the bike easily. It's just a link. I don't get anything if you buy one. I don't take commissions from e-bike companies. I'm just here to give you information. So if you found this information helpful, do me a favor, consider hitting subscribe, and I will talk to y'all later. Thanks.